Here we go. Here we go. Ready, break.
Not
Not
bad.
bad. Not bad.
You think this is amateur hour? Your brother's not here.
All right, Fonz. I know I said I wasn't going to talk very much. I'm about 85% back, but I don't know if you want to get us in or if you want me to get us in.
Yeah, I mean,
You already started?
welcome back, everybody. I'm not used to starting this off, but today we got everyone back except for my brother. We got Mario, Mr. D's, Castro,
So,
and our new league champion for 2023, Joe.
Woo! What's
Yo.
gentlemen?
Hello, Joseph.
What is going on? What is going on?
And this is your first
First
appearance
ever.
on our podcast,
It's
so
about damn time you
congratulations.
had me on here. Thank you.
Well,
I got a lot to say.
I can answer that. I can answer that. Well, Fonz, thanks for getting us in. I've been a little under the weather. My voice literally didn't work like 2 days ago. So the concept of doing a pod, not only for the pain that it costs to speak, but just the incessant coughing. I couldn't have done this yesterday. I would have been coughing already, and it would have been a huge pain in the ass for everyone for the full hour. But a little bit better. But thanks for getting us in, Fonz. But the reason, Joe, you haven't been on was out of respect to Scott, because Scott has still not been on. And my rule was I don't want to disrespect Scott and have the two new guys, you and Noe, come in before Scott. But then you fucking won the whole thing, so our hand was forced. So early apologies to Scott. We still need to get him in before Noe at least.
Nah, fuck you, Scott.
whoa. Hasn't Scott been through enough fonts?
No, man, he made me lose my first round. I should have been out in the first round of the toilet bowl. God.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your odds. Because you didn't go all the way.
He's just mad that he had to play a second game. And he's mad that Scott is the reason it had to do it, despite what happened. But yes, Joe is in. It's been a while since we've had a first time guest on the show. We didn't do a whole lot of guests this year. I think Isaac came on, and that might have been it. He might have come on once.
Justin.
Yeah, I think Justin made one, and that's really been it. We were much better about guests in year one and year two. But typically we have a little bit of an orientation and all those things just to kind of get a little background, let the few listeners we do have get to know you a little bit, and even for ourselves. I've only met you in person one time, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like I didn't know you had just knocked me out of the playoffs, if I remember correctly, and I do. And I just walked up to you kind of with the side eye, shook your hand, not knowing who you were. I just felt it, and you're like, "Hey, I'm Joe." I'm like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah, that was the Kirk
It-
Duggins game where he came back against, I think, Buffalo or
Dude.
somebody within that playoff game.
You're right. He set the record for biggest comeback. It was the Colts were up like 30-0 or something like that. I was at Jose's house watching that game. It's all coming back like a nasty stain. But happy to have you on. We'll get some orientation questions out of the way. And I know you've been listening throughout the years, so you probably have a long list of notes and
I got receipts.
there. So
Time to cash in.
we want to give you ample time on the floor to air those grievances and speak. Because as a person who's only missed one episode, I think that one I was yelling at the radio myself, like, "No, that's wrong. That's what somebody stop this man from running his mouth." So I'm sure across the entire season you've got a handful of those.
Yep. I'll wait for my time, but it's coming. It's coming. I think I have a bone to pick with almost everybody that's on here. And so
Almost.
What do I do?
almost.
Okay.
What did I do?
I'll tell you the truth.
Oh, Castro.
He's probably saving you for last. Wow.
Speaking of like new listeners, I just found out I think it was about a week after we did the last episode that my cousin Oscar was listening to it, and I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was telling me that everything you were saying about movies that you disliked about movies, Mario, like the whole color or the whole thing, like if it doesn't look good, you don't like it. Like he was relating
Yeah.
to you like 100%. Like he was just
Oh
like, I agree
man,
with him on everything, and I was like, oh, I gotta let him know because like he's listening,
there's
you
not
know.
a
Like I
lot
was
of us.
like,
There's not a lot of
yeah,
us.
but
Mario
yeah.
is Mario is the third to last brother, so makes sense. He relates.
you, you and Mario and Castro are both just straight off as our third brother, all right?
Hey.
It depends on the topic. It depends on different characteristics. That's good to know. I don't remember Oscar, but just from what you told me, I'm happy to have an ally in a sense that maybe he's an angry guy, just like
well,
just like me.
just just to give you a reminder, he played Gears with us.
What was his name?
Uh,
Oscar.
no,
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
This gamer tag, you idiot.
You
God,
didn't
dude.
say gamer tag, did he? So what was
But
his name?
I mean, why? I already. Oh, dude.
God,
God
who's the
bless.
idiot now,
Context,
Fonz?
please, bro.
God, dude.
Context.
Was that was in Bucktown's finest, right?
No, no.
That was my
I
first thought.
forgot.
That was my
Fuck,
first
that's
thought.
funny.
Harry and
What's
William.
it?
Bucktown's fine. He said Bucktown. B with a
Oh,
B.
I thought you said
I heard
Bucktown.
Bucktown too, and I was like, "What?
Bucktown's finest.
What's going on?"
What a badass.
That's my fantasy team name for next year, though.
Damn it.
I don't remember what his gamer tag was, but yeah, he would often be our fifth player that would come in and play with us when we needed a fifth member on our squad. And on the third years, I think it was, or the fourth one. Whenever we needed an extra one.
I wonder if I was
I
friends
don't
with them.
recall. Well, I'm sure I met him a couple of times. I haven't lived in San Antonio for oh gosh, over 10 years now. It's been a while. I'm sure I met him back in the day. But either way, it's good to know. It's good to know I wasn't yelling into the void as everyone just kind of rolled their eyes and said, "Listen to this angry fucker who hates Christmas." So I got one.
He was
I got
related.
one of
Yeah,
those.
he
Well,
related
hold on,
100% to you.
hold on. As being the third and last brother, do you like Peter Piper's pizza?
I know you're not talking to
He
me.
loves it.
I know. I know you're talking to Castro.
Just gotta
Who knows
ask.
who
I
he's
gotta
talking
know.
to?
Goodness,
Mario,
we, ha-
goodness.
alas.
we haven't had Peter Piper
Oh.
pizza in about a year. Okay.
You
Yeah?
haven't?
Yeah.
No
No.
No, I
way.
was like,
He's
no,
the
that's not
fucking
true.
way.
It's not true.
All right, it's been a few months. That's it. At the most.
Well, I don't want to deviate too far away from our special guest here, so we'll get into it pretty quickly. Not a lot to recap. We just had, well, I guess 3 games of note. We had the third place game between you, Jose, and William. Championship game, obviously, between Joe and Justin, the two offensive powerhouses of the entire league. And then toilet bowl game between Miller and Noe. So we'll go through each of those. But yeah, like I said, Joe, this is kind of going to be your episode, not only because you're a first time guest, but you are soon to be wearing the hardware as soon as that belt gets shipped. That's I don't know how much shipping is on that thing, Jose. Maybe you can just. Oh, you're in the same town. Never mind. You can just drive it
Well,
over.
actually, it's Warwick. Warwick has the belt because he's last year's champ.
Oh shit!
He actually
Yeah.
reached out to me. I think the next day or on Tuesday, what have you. So, kind of connected with him, and he said the belt should be coming pretty soon. So, just waiting for it to come.
Man, good on Warwick for setting that precedent. He's paying the shipping, whatever it is. So good on him. Well, too bad he can't wear it like The Rock for this episode for the video portion. But um, yeah, so this will be kind of your get to know you thing. Before we do, as I said, video. No, we'll get to that when we do the preview. So Joe, you are mostly Jose's account. We had 2 vacancies come out before the start of the 2022 season, and it was a bit of an interview process. There was a handful of names that were in the bucket before yours. I don't remember a ton about the screening process. I know Jose would kind of update me between you and Noe as you guys were going, but it really was almost like a job because there was at least like probably 8 to 10 names that were thrown out across various people that a lot of which got rolled and weeded out before they even got an opportunity for an interview. Um, so Jose told me it's been about 2 years now, but how he knew you in the first place. But it'd be good to hear from your own words, who you knew coming into this league, how you came in, kind of from your perspective.
Yeah. So Myra, Jose's wife, works with my wife at the same company, and so got to know Myra through her, of course, company functions, what have you. So I got to know Jose, and then we became BFF forever. So
Hit
that's
it
my
off,
guy.
yeah.
So no, but yeah. So um, and then kind of a little bit more deeper story at the time. It was about the COVID period, and I was looking to upgrade from my house that I had in our old neighborhood. And so actually Myra's cousin, she introduced me to him, and he became our realtor to sell our house and then buy our new house. And Jose and Myra were kind of with us on that journey as well too. So that was kind of makes a deeper relationship a little bit, personal side of things. But yeah, no, the Jose approached me about joining the league. It had been a couple years since I actually played fantasy football. I was in a different dynasty league, a couple of leagues actually. I was probably going like 3 or 4 leagues deep for a while, and then it just kind of got a little more complex, a little bit more complicated than I think it should have been. And so at that point, I just kind of I think I won the title from that group, and then I kind of retired. I
He's
retired.
like,
I was
no
like, that's
more,
it. I'm out.
no more.
I'm done. So at that point, I was walking away. I hung up my fantasy football resume, and just had my trophy, and I was good. Just watching the games, not having too much invested into it. And then when Jose mentioned that there was an opening, I was like, okay, let me think about it. I want to see what the roster looks like and how many people are in there, what are the rules. And so while I was being vetted, I was kind of going through the same thing as well within the league, seeing what if it really,
Is this worth my time? Is this worth my
yeah,
credentials as a
pretty
retired
much.
champion? You walked away once.
So yeah, so
Uh,
just kind of went through that, and the league points system was a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to. More PPR is what I'm accustomed to. Not the super flex, 'cause I know I got shit from this year regarding having multiple quarterbacks and everything else. But I'll
well,
talk about my
you're
roster
future
and my
proofing.
team. Yeah, I'll talk
Uh,
about my roster and my team a little bit and a little bit as well too. But no, it was kind of interesting. The roster looked pretty set. I was kind of happy with it. Needed some tweaks here and there. Um, but at the same time, I told Jose, I was like, look, I'm cool to join. But if you guys have anybody else that you're thinking of that's interested, that's a little bit more connected to the group, so be it. I think I met Castro and Fonz and Will at one of Jose's parties at his house. I think I actually met Scott there too, Isaac. And for the longest time, I thought fucking Isaac. That I thought that was his whole name and everything. So because that's all I would hear on the podcast. But no, I met all the guys. They were pretty cool. Hung out, drank, had to play a couple card games, what have you, and then. So I was like, yeah, I'm willing to join up and play if you guys will have me. And Jose was like, "Yeah, no." I think it came down between me and somebody else, but we were kind of both. Oh, if the other guy wants to go, so be it. No, no hard feelings, what have you. And Jose was like, "No, you need to set your foot down. You need to say, I want to be in it. I need some determination." And I was like,
Bunch
"All
of
right, I want to be
nasty.
in it.
Tell me.
Like, give it to me. All right,
Give me
I'm
some
good. I'm good."
nasty. Yeah.
So. So that's what led me to the group. So I met everybody else uh, within it. So it's been a pretty good sophomore season, like I mentioned before. So
uh, yeah, I'll say about as good as it could have gone. I'm curious who that other party is. You ever hear stories of like TV shows that went into syndication, became famous, and like, oh, there's a pilot episode where the lead actor was actually cast by somebody else, then he got replaced at the last minute. I'm curious who that almost what person was.
Justin's brother.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Well, I think he's actually next on deck for when Joe leaves us now that he won a championship.
You're
That's a
not allowed to leave. You're not
hey,
allowed to
don't steal
leave
my
yet.
thunder. That's my out. That's my going out right now, right? From the podcast, announcing my retirement. No, I'm just kidding.
No, man,
Joe
it
wins
was
one and he walks off.
It was so funny because when I ran the opportunity by Joe, I feel like we were absolutely vetting each other, and as much as I felt like like I know Joe, like I know we're friends outside of the fantasy league, and our wives know each other, but it was just like we were very much vetting each other, and he would ask me questions, and I would ask him questions, and then it felt very much like I wanted to go through like almost like an not a true interview process, but I wanted to sit Joe down, have a beer, like yeah, how's your day going? Great. Hey, now tell me about a time you got outbid in the fantasy league. What did you do? What were your following actions? Tell me what was going through your head. And whereas like in an interview you would look for like the more standard approach, like, oh well, here's I learned my lesson. Like I was expecting, like, no, I pulled up that guy's number and said, fuck you. Like I wanted that. I was the opposite of what everyone would be looking for. So yeah, no, we were very much vetting each other through that whole process. But I'm glad, Joe, I'm glad you onboarded, and you're having a good time, and you're now the league champ, and the championship goes through you now. So fun times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I think there was one question that Jose asked me was like, I'm just going to throw out a scenario. If your quarterback gets hurt and it's the middle of the season, what are you going to do? What are your plan of action? So I had to kind of come up with some things on there. But
Give up all your picks for the next 3 years.
It's a good thing. Was your answer, I would trade for Brock Purdy, then I would trade for Jalen Hurts, and then I would finish this championship rose.
Something like that, who knows? Who knows what it was?
I thought Jose would just give you samples like, oh, look at this trade. How would you grade this trade? Would you say that's a fair trade?
Show a bunch of Will's trades.
No, man,
Antonio Brown.
It was funny too because after Joe agreed and we got him into the league, I think one of the other things Joe I kept preaching about was like, hey, we just like know your shit, like stay involved, but like absolutely just stay engaged with everyone. Like that's all I ask. Like you run your team. I'm not here to tell you that was a bad trade, that was a bad pickup. Like you run your team, just please stay engaged. That was like my one ask. Like after we both agreed, yes, join the league. And then I think Joe had an event like at his house, or he had a work thing or a family thing, like right after we added him to the league. And everyone was like I made my post like, hey, everyone, welcome Joe. Here's a little bit of, bio about him, and, welcome into the league. And everyone was like, hey, Joe, like, welcome in. Like, happy you're here, Joe. Like, whatever. And like nothing from Joe for like 3.5 hours. And I was like, oh boy. I was like, like just antsy on the edge of my seat. Like, so I messaged Joe like 3 times, like, hey, just want to make sure like you downloaded the app okay, like any issues getting notifications. And he was like, nope, all good. Like I don't see any notifications. Like, okay. And after like the 4th hour, I took a screenshot like, man, everyone's welcoming you. Please just jump in and say something. Like, please, like my neck's on the line here. Just please. And he was like, oh, I don't know how I missed that. And then from there it was history. But it was, you made me sweat a little bit, but now not so much. All good.
Oh man, I remember that. I remember that vividly, and I felt the panic in Jose's voice when he gave me that text. He was like, "Hey, no pressure, but they're fucking talking, and you need to respond." And I was like, "Okay, I'm on it. I was like, "My bad." I was like, but that's when I don't know, Sleeper would update and then not pick up the notifications unless you open the app again or something like that. But
I think I had to like re-download the app. I think we did that twice separately.
yeah,
But
It gets a little wonky in the off season sometimes, but
I also remember Isaac. Oh, sorry.
There's a lot of heat, Joe, when you bring somebody in, because this is it's taken very seriously by. I mean, literally 50% of the podcast at times is sitting on of the entire league rather is sitting on a podcast talking week to week. So we're obviously paying attention. We're 9 years in now. I know you just finished 2, but the OGs were like the original 6 in the NHL. Like we've been here through this for 9 years. Everyone doesn't even have to refer to documents. We know how many rings each person has. We know how many playoff appearances a lot of us have. The podcast is sort of a new advent, but my God, this is season 4 already. We just started it for fun, and hopefully added some more excitement for those that don't talk to us on a daily or every other day basis. But the guy you replaced, the roster anyway, the first 6 years it was my cousin. And it was back when we were 10-man. We didn't know how big this thing was going to be when we first started. And I just, I was hanging out with him, which I rarely do. We were at a family function and told him about it. And was like, hey, we need an extra body or 2. Are you interested? So he jumped in. But, he went to the finals year 1, which is solid enough. But his participation, his involvement was really lacking. by year 4, year 5, it got to where he was getting a little gray on the rules, like how many keepers, and um, I was he there for expansion? Yeah, he was there for expansion because Jacob didn't come until 3 seasons ago. But the whole expansion draft, and it was a regular thing where I would have to like back channel him and say, "Hey, you don't have like you've got an injured guy in your starting lineup." Like, and so it's just adding stress. He seemed to be kind of losing interest. He had no engagement, so those things were dipping off. I had already had another former coworker and friend come in to fill another vacancy that we had in the league, and the guy knows football. He knows it. He lives in San Antonio, so he's involved enough with everybody. This dude just has a reputation for doing dumb shit. I don't know how. Like his streak is so long, so he knows everything. He had his keepers. One of his team members was Danny Woodhead, and this was the 2017 draft or maybe 2016. I think it was 2017. It was the
It
Alvin
was the big
Kamara.
one. Yeah, it was the
It
one
was
with
the
all the
Alvin Kamara,
shenanigans.
Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook year. And my guy had picked 5. And buddy, he opted not to keep Danny Woodhead. He let him go. It didn't make the roster, and he's got pick number 5. I think McCaffrey was gone, but Dalvin Cook was still on the board. Alvin Kamara was still on the board. He drafts Danny Woodhead with pick 5. The player he had dropped. And collectively, the whole league, whether they did or not, they all either thought of me or looked directly at me and were like, "Bro, what have you done to us?"
Nice one, Mario.
And I'm trying to think,
Wow.
which team is that, Jose? The Danny Woodhead team.
That's Noe's.
Isaac?
That's Noe's now. It was
No, Isaac took over for Royce.
Danny Woodhead was Josh originally. Josh
No.
with Julio Jones, and then it turned into Noe, and it turned into Michelle, and then now into. No, sorry,
This is Noe.
It was Josh.
I gotta know this now.
Hyman.
Hang on.
It was
Jose
Josh,
will look it up.
Hyman,
I don't wanna
Michelle,
waste
then
time.
Noe.
Anyway,
Don't talk anymore.
the point is, Joe. This is kind of a sacred league, so just reinforcing the sweat Jose was feeling as you were his find, his discovery. A lot of people had other people they'd thrown out for whatever reason. Nobody wanted to be the one to put their neck on the line either. So if there's any hint that it wasn't going to work out, we're like, nope, they're out. Never mind. Fuck it. Don't bring it in. So I can attest to Jose's nerves on that one. But yeah, to your credit, the guy who came in before you, his name was Jacob, and when he took over that roster, because my cousin was kind of losing interest, he came in. He was literally projected to have the worst season, and he had the worst long-term outlook on his team. He had a lot of age, but he had the number 1 overall pick. And so he started flipping that with Castro, namely. That was the James Conner, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin.
James Conner wasn't that. I'm embarrassed of the James Conner. James Conner was picked for a 3rd-round pick. But to be fair, he was on his way out of Pittsburgh. He didn't look good. He couldn't stay
Whoa,
healthy.
Castro. Okay, James Conner is gonna come up in my conversation. So don't be talking about my guy.
It was a big trade. It turned into Najee Harris for Castro, but it turned into a handful of depth and role players for you. And Mike Evans obviously was one of the big ones for you this season, involved in that trade. Not so much McLaurin, but anyway, it started the change, and from there, Jacob just didn't stop. He got really hot. I think he won 10 games straight his first season at one point. Before ultimately, as you might have heard, the wheel started to fall off towards the end of the year. A lot of the older guys started getting hurt, and then come playoff time, he lost. I think he had a first round bye, but he lost in his first game. And then you come along. You remember your first season. I don't remember where you finished points wise, but you had a good run. You beat me in the first round, and then fell short in round 2 to, was it Warwick?
Yeah, it was Warwick.
Yeah, Warwick was just on another planet, that playoff run. Warwick had one of the strangest runs I've seen in our 9-year dynasty. And then I was actually telling Jose earlier this season offline, after you had made a whole bunch of the moves this year, I was like, man, Joe, because Jacob had to go for just sort of behind the scenes stuff. Like, we wanted to keep him around. It was just kind of easier for him to take his leave, which is what opened the door for you. But He won GM of the Year, which was like a made up award that we had this season, but for turning that team around. But when you came in and we're making all these deals and we're having your run and record, I told Jose, it's like, man, Joe is actually the perfect person to take over for Jacob because even down to the nicknames, he's just doing the exact same things. It's almost seamless. If we didn't know that it had changed, we'd assume this was still Jacob playing because he did it exactly the same way. And this team, I think you heard on the preview, it had gotten so close so many times, had been in the playoffs a handful of times, literally thought it won a ring in year one before a stat correction fixed it down the road. So this was a long time coming for this franchise, and just happy to have you aboard, happy to have you involved and engaged, and want to congratulate you on crossing the finish line finally, 9 years in.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the kudos and everybody reaching out for the win. Before I get into it, Justin, hey, great game, great season. Caught me at the end for the number one seed in points. I know the team kind of ran into some injury bug towards the end, right before we went into playoff mode. Um, but yeah, I don't know if we want to jump into the game now or what have you, but I make it a habit for superstition, whatever the case is. I don't look at the scores on Sunday until after the afternoon game. So after the 3 o'clock games, I
Oh
know what my
wow!
players, who they are, and what we're doing. Sometimes I might forget, like, shit, I didn't add him into my lineup, and he's going off or what have you. But I'm getting notifications of when my players do a big play or if I get a touchdown. But other than that, I don't know what my other team is doing. I might know maybe their quarterback or one of their better players, but I don't really check any of the scores until 6 o'clock on Sunday after
Oh
or Sunday evening.
wow!
And so, again, just superstition, whatever the case is, I don't want to jinx anything. And that way I know going into Sunday night football or even Monday night football, if I'm already out of it because my team, just imploded, or if we're kind of tied neck and neck and I had somebody go in on Sunday or Monday, or it's pretty much a done deal at that point that I can just relax and enjoy the last game of the season. So, same thing happened with the championship game. I know Justin reached out kind of at the end of the first half
You
of the
might have
games,
broken a
right.
bro code there going into some of these
So
guys.
yeah, he sent the message, but I was like, no, I'm not going to break my tradition. I'm not going to break my superstition. I was like, I'll make it up to Justin and let him know, hey, good game if it ends up being that way. But I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to respond. I knew I think I had two guys going in the late afternoon games, and they did shit. It was Kelsey and crap, I can't remember who Eckler,
Eckler.
yeah, Eckler, and they did shit. I think they only scored like 3 points combined for both of those teams. So I was like, there's no way that with Lamar going off, he had his 5 touchdown game, 300, 400 yards passing. I was like, there's just no way. There's no way I have a lead. And uh, sure enough, I checked the game. Even though Justin sent it, I was like, he's sending out that Miller voodoo, that Isaac voodoo, that the black magic. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
last ditch effort. I was like, no, I'm not going to buy into it. I'm just going to let it roll out, let it play. And even going into Monday, I had the lead, a pretty comfortable lead, but I still had Aaron Jones playing, and um, he's done okay since he's come back from injury, but I'm sure if you asked him, his season's gone to shit this year because of injury and other things that are going on. But yeah, he ended up having a pretty good game. So it was about the mid to end of the third quarter, and I was like, okay, I think I'm good. I'm
Right.
officially gonna send that out and sent it out to Justin saying, hey, good season. So yeah, great run on it. Um, but when I looked at the points, who carried across me that finish line was Mr. Old Man, Mr. Taco Bell, seasoned fries, Devontae Adams. Castro, you heard of that guy before? Yeah.
I'm
Nah,
sorry. Who?
not
I'm
really.
sorry, who? Who? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
And then
one
James
good
Conner.
game.
And then James. Don't tell me one game. But that he's had a couple of good games this year, more so than maybe I probably anticipated. I expected some good usage out of him, and that was even going in with thinking Garoppolo, Jimmy G was going to be their quarterback, and he ended up running with the rookie Aiden O'Connell, my man from Purdue, who happened to be in my taxi squad. So it's all good. But
Why? wide receiver 16 he finished on the season. Not bad. Not wide receiver one, but certainly a contributing part of a team. I just saw this. I didn't watch super closely. Obviously, wasn't playing. 21 targets this dude had. He had one target the week before. I'm sorry, one catch the week before.
Yep.
21 targets this fucking game. My God, if I were Justin. And, I was watching a little bit of the Cardinals thing too. And I swear every play went to James Conner, not like nonstop. Every time the Cardinals had the ball, James Conner was touching it. I was like, man, if I'm Justin, I'd be losing my shit over this old man who can never stay healthy, just getting funneled the ball again and again. And a game they should have been getting blown out against the Eagles, but different story.
Oh, James Conner only had 66% of the snaps in that game. And
Well, he touched it every fucking snap.
My other guy, my old man. So what's kind of funny was while this championship in the Flash League is going on, Justin and I are also facing each other, as you guys know, in the Guillotine League. And a lot of my players that I have in the Flash, Justin had for his starting lineup in Guillotine. So my thought was, crap. Like he had CMC, he had Jalen Hurts. I think there was like maybe another Travis Kelsey. I think there was one more that he had on his team in Guillotine. So again, sorry Justin for bringing up, opening up some old wounds and scabs, what have you. But so I'm thinking, yeah, if my team goes off in Flash, then there's no way I'm winning the Guillotine because he
It
has
should
all
have
my
been
players.
impossible. It should have
Yeah,
been impossible for that to happen. Because Justin was up all day. I think he was like a 20-point favorite at like 5 or 6 o'clock last time I checked. I didn't know until I went to go. Oh my God! You should see my bank account, Joe. I sent so much money to you. I didn't know. I didn't know until like the next day when I was messaging you, and I was like, "Oh my God, poor Justin! What a fucking Sunday this guy had! What an
yeah.
awful Sunday!"
And he had still Lamar Jackson on in Guillotine, but he sat him on the bench and went with the better matchup, which you can't argue. But he went with the better matchup between Hurts and the Giants. No, the Arizona. Sorry, Hurts and
Hurts was playing
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah.
So common thinking would think, sensible thinking would think that Hurts would go off and have a great game. But yeah, so I was already thinking there's like crap, if my team goes off, there's no way I'm winning both sides. So I'll be content with winning the Flash League, getting the belt. That one has a little bit more of the prestige, if you will. But so at the same time, when I'm looking at the Flash League, I go over to Guillotine thinking, all right, I've lost. Maybe I made it a little bit competitive. And lo and behold, I'm up on that one. Thank you, Puka Nakua, for going off and doing everything you
Oh
did.
wow.
And Karen Williams, I had him. So in the Guillotine. So I'm getting off from the Flash League a little bit. But so yeah, I totally expected to, when I won the Flash League, did not expect to have the Guillotine League, title as well too. So I think I got close maybe once where I was really close to being knocked out within the Guillotine side of things, but ended up persevering and yeah, made it all the way through. So my guys, Castro, I'm just gonna go after you, bro.
Oh, here we go.
Go
yeah.
The
ahead.
episode one. I think it was
Oh
episode
shit!
one. All right, we're
Shit.
going
I'll take
way
it.
back.
Oh,
Your
God.
We're
hot
gonna be here
take.
for a while.
Your hot take. So Fonz, you got to find this take where he's like, hot take. Joe doesn't make the playoffs at all.
Oh
At all.
shit!
You said that.
Episode one?
Like
Damn.
episode one. If it wasn't one, it was episode two. You were like, hot take. Joe doesn't make the playoffs. So I kept that receipt right fucking in my wallet. And I looked at it every single day. I was looking at my lineup. I was like,
As he's
oh, this
brushing his
bitch.
teeth.
Right?
Severe.
Because that's when I picked up at the beginning of the season. In the off season is when I picked up Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And you started your shit already with like, oh, he's too old. I don't know what you're doing. The wheels are gonna fall off. You guys, they're gonna get hurt. He doesn't have a quarterback. Jimmy G, I don't trust him. Which, okay, he started off pretty hot and it was good. And then when they had their transition, um, he was still doing all right. And then he had his diva tirade, just like any wide receiver. But it didn't result in him getting the touches like everybody else did. He still kind of was mediocre. Then he would still have, a game here or there where he go 100 yards and a touchdown, or I think he did like 50 yards and a touchdown. What really kind of concerned me was going in that second to last game where he had one catch. Mario, you already kind of mentioned that. But yeah, this one here, the last game, he just went off over 100 yards, two touchdowns. I think it was. I know two touchdowns for sure.
2 touchdowns,
But yeah, he just went off.
126 yards.
There you go. So yeah, I think that there was one where I came close to setting the Flash League record of most points scored. I think that was a game that he went off as well too. I think he had almost 200 yards, if not 200 yards. I don't have the stats in front of me, but
The
so there's
monster
still
game he had was week 3, 172 yards
there you
on
go,
20 targets and 2 touchdowns. Yeah,
two touchdowns. So yeah, so
that was his this past week was his second best game of the entire season. That's what we talked about. That was a trade with Jose. I'm pretty sure that was just a first rounder straight up. I'm not sure which year.
yep,
It's
HN.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that year.
That
Okay,
was
so
HN
for
for
Adam.
I thought
yeah.
it
So
was next year.
I really didn't like anybody coming out in the draft in the first round, at least where I was picking. Um, I know Spears was there, HN was there. I just um I knew they had Henry and I knew they had Moster and I think they had Jeff Wilson from Miami. So of course I couldn't see or in the future where HN was going to go off and be a chain. But I just didn't like him at that point. So I felt I still needed to get some help in the receiver side. I know I had Terry McLaurin, but they're starting a new quarterback. Your future Hall of Famer, is that who you're calling
Oh
Sam
yeah.
Howell? Yeah, yeah,
Future Hall of Famer first
yeah,
ballot.
yeah. We'll just pass on
First
that. Yeah,
ballot.
That's his legal
first
name. I
back.
don't know what you're talking about.
This is legal.
So I expected a better season from him. It didn't turn out that way. Um, I think I had KJ Osborne for a while because Justin Jefferson went out. He literally didn't do anything for me. Mike Evans, was my standard, my guy, and I knew he was going to come up big this year because it's a contract year. I know the Bucks kind of screwed him over and didn't offer him a new contract like he wanted, and so he's playing for that next one, which I think he has earned. Came out like a gangbuster. I think there's maybe just a few games that he just had pedestrian numbers, but for the most part, he showed up. Even with Chris Godwin on the team and others. So
When
uh,
Baker Mayfield's slinging the ball, Mayfield had been this was like his fourth team in 2 years. Nobody had any reason to think that he was going to be any good. Everyone walking in said Tom Brady's out. This team is just going in the tank, and now here we are. They're going to be competing for a playoff spot come Sunday. And Mike Evans, 30 years old in his 10th year. Devontae Adams, 31 years old in his 10th year. Mike Evans, wide receiver 3. Mike Evans and Keenan Allen were kind of the poster children for the geriatric season that 2023 was.
Can I just say
Because
real
I
quick too, with Baker Mayfield before we get off it, just I remember one of the greatest things of the offseason was it was him versus Kyle Trask or the QB battle because Baker wasn't even called the starter. I just remember watching like a video of like battles heating. It was ESPN too. It's like battles heating up in Tampa for starting QB, and it shows Kyle Trask, and he just like overthrows a receiver, and then it shows Baker, and he does the exact same thing.
hey, leave the Bucks alone, all
Oh
right? Bucks are
no!
my team. That's my
Oh,
team
Yeah,
outside of everything. So
they've been doing great, but it's funny to think back in the offseason.
yeah,
They're like, oh my god, this team's gonna suck so bad.
and that was the common thinking that this team is just going in the tank. I don't, you follow them more closely, so we look at it more of a broad, objective view. But the MO was like Brady's gone. They had their time. Evans is old. Godwin's getting up there. It's going down. Did you expect them to be this good with Baker this year?
uh, I expected them to be right around 500. I thought that if everything kind of went right, if it broke right for Tampa, Baker Mayfield can kind of be the old Baker of Cleveland, and maybe we catch lightning in a bottle and make a little run. Now, I'm not talking about Super Bowl or NFC Championship kind of game run, but I felt like we could do 500, contend for the division and make a playoff like we are right now. So yeah, um, they have a great team on paper. Yeah, they're a little bit older, especially on defense side of things, but they still have some great talent. They have Winfield in the back. They have Devon White. Um, What's the other linebacker's name? I can't think of him.
I heard Winfield didn't make the Pro Bowl, and everyone's saying that's one of the biggest crimes of
Yep,
the entire season.
yep. So yeah, him and Sun God, they got snubbed. So I know he kind of took it
Yeah,
personally
Oh
too. So,
dang!
he
but yeah, the
Wow,
kind
he
of
didn't.
left
question mark
out
coming
the.
into it was going to be Baker and how well the quarterback position was going to play, and then the run game. Which Amara, you were on point. I think on one of the last couple of episodes, you talked about White and how he just kind of exploded after a certain week, and I actually kind of probed with Justin to see, hey, I see him in your taxi. Is he available? I was looking for that help right when I was making all my deals. So I did approach Justin about White. I approached him about even Deshaun Watson at one point, but then I kept hearing
Oh,
Mario being like, "You're not going to win shit with that guy on the team."
you, you wouldn't have won.
So
In fact, I'm certain that's why Justin lost. He took too long.
So like
Fancy
there was
news.
a point right before I traded for Purdy with Warwick. There was a point where I was looking at Watson. I was like, man, I could probably get him for cheap because I think that was right after one of the games he just threw a ball and it was just so underthrown that it skipped all the way to a receiver and a wide open receiver and the receiver just threw up his hands like what the fuck was that? So so I was like maybe I can get him cheap and see what happens and run with it, but. Um, I don't know. I just kept hearing Mario in the back of my head, being like, "You're not going to win shit." That's why.
Don't do
So,
it.
don't do it.
You're welcome.
And so
You're
that's why
welcome.
I approached. I saw Warwick with Purdy, and I'm like, you know what? Let's take a chance on this. And um, so yeah, I picked up Purdy at that point in time, thinking Purdy would be my future quarterback once Kurt Duggins was done. And lo and behold, he gets hurt midseason, and that just puts me into fuck it mode and fuck them picks and just push everything in the middle of the table and let's do it. If we're gonna do it, this is now the time. I'm not empty the clip. That's always been my kind of my motto going into to especially with guillotine or with any fantasy football. Is like I don't want to leave any chance, any money on the table that thinking I coulda woulda. Just might as well just empty the clip and let it fall where it went. So
Well, that's one of the interesting things too, and this is where the dynasty aspect becomes fun because we've kind of been joking like, all right, Joe's got no future whatsoever. His next first round pick is in 2029 or whatever the fuck we said, which is I think it's like 2026, 27. But at the same time, Devontae Adams just moved for a first rounder last offseason. This is where kind of the management comes in. Just because you don't have any picks at the moment doesn't mean you're not going to have an opportunity to get first round picks coming up. Like, if you say, hey, I've got more depth at this position, maybe I can move McCaffrey. He's probably still good for, possibly two first, at least a first, and then some, or maybe prospects. So there's still some creative accounting you can do here. And I was telling these guys, I think we're online, and I was reading a comment where somebody was saying, "Is this fair? Like, would you trade Justin Jefferson for this, this, and this?" And they broke out, "I'm in a position to win this year. I'm just weak at this position. Like, is this fair?" And somebody said, "I would trade my entire team if it guaranteed a title this season." So, like, it's at the end of the day, we're here. We're here for the hardware. We're here to get the wins, and hopefully the pride and the swag on top of the nice little influx of cash right at the right time on the first of the year confirm that this was all worth it. And like I said, I know we're joking about Joe's got no picks, he's going to go in the tank, but there's still some management can be done to kind of keep this thing afloat. Again, 2 years ago, this team was said to have the worst outlook and have the worst long term agreement, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And that was entirely due to all the wheeling and dealing between Jacob and yourself.
yeah, no. And that's kind of the brings me to my next topic and my next receipt that I want to kind of bitch about is I understand everybody sees my team and they see them a little bit older, long in the tooth, but and the picks that I gave up and saying I have no future because I have no first round pick, but it's 2 years out that I traded these first round picks for. I think my guys that I picked up, even though they're a little bit older, can give me 2 more years. Devontae Adams just showed that he can do what he did at 31. Mike, don't be shaking your head, Castro, because I fucking started already. I'll start a new tab on you, Bubba. I'll start a new tab for you, son. So Mike Evans, he's 30 years old, but the 10 years he's been in the league, I think he's surpassed 1,000 yards every single year, and I think he's one of the only wide receivers ever to do it. So if he stays with the Bucks, they're still going to feed him the ball. If he goes somewhere else, I don't see that declining. I bring up CMC. CMC. I mean, he in my book, he's the MVP of this league. I know Lamar can be argued for it, and you can't splitting hairs here and there, but I know the MVP is a quarterback award for the most part. But I think CMC, everything that he's done, everything he means to the 49ers, he's the MVP in my book. So he can still go as long as he stays healthy, which he's proven the past 2 years now. I know that was kind of the knock on him in Carolina. He just never could stay healthy, but what the hell? He didn't have the help behind it. So now he has, the extra weapons, the Elijah Mitchell and Debo Samuels and Ayuk and Kittle and everybody else within that organization. So I think he can still run high. Picking up Hurts was, pretty smart, at least in my opinion, because it gets me younger at the quarterback side. I still have Kirk. Maybe he comes up in a trade with somebody if he comes back and be in his Kirk Thuggins like he was before his injury. I have Purdy. I have some couple of chips within the taxi squad that I can trade. So I mean, I, I still feel like my team can contend, and even if I maybe fall off or if I don't get to the championship game, I still think my team's going to be very competitive for at least the next 2 years when my clock resets and I have my first round picks back. Um, and if nothing else, I'll be picking high at that point in time anyway. So I I still like my team. I like the moves that I made, and I still think they can be very productive going into the next couple of years while that clock is reset for my first round picks. The other point I had was the bought versus built. I kind of took a little bit of offense to that side of things. Yes, I know I made those trains. I made those trades, but still, I have some homegrown players. Sophomore slump, Damian Pierce. He's still on my team, but
Hey, we
uh,
gave credit for him. We remembered
yeah,
eventually.
yeah. See,
Yeah, eventually.
Jake Ferguson. I drafted Jake Ferguson. He's been in my taxi squad, and I promoted him right at the right time, I think. And he started. He did very well for me in a couple of games and pushed me over. I think I went two tight ends at one point
Yeah, but
and
you didn't you didn't
got a win.
start him. You didn't start him ever over Kelsey.
No, I didn't start him over Kelsey because I had Dalton Schultz. I had the Dolt, man. I had Roadhouse on my
You
bench.
see, I
With
didn't. Yeah, you see, so yeah, you bought Kelsey.
Dang,
You didn't build
Fonz.
Kelsey. All right,
hey,
you bought him.
I inherited
When you
Kelsey. There's a
start
difference
That was
between
winning with
that
buying.
was
Ferguson, when you start winning with Ferguson, they will say you built it. But
He said he
your
bought and
roster.
then
See,
built
already
it.
the disrespect, of bought versus built. But no, I like seriously. I do respect Justin and the way he's put together his team. Some of the
Yeah.
other league members that they've done the same thing as well. Um, but yeah, it didn't sit well with me hearing that bought versus built kind of thing.
But it's a good
So
thing because I don't think you should take offense to it just because I've been through a few trades where I've received a shit of it. Like I I can't even tell you how many times I have players that I just don't even have on my roster anymore after a big trade because it just didn't do anything for me. So
yeah.
buying is also a really important thing. Knowing when to buy or when to sell is an important skill of this league. So I wouldn't take too offense to it that if you bought a team, did you bought it at the right time, especially that it won you a championship.
Well, funny that you bring that up, Fonz, because I offered you a blockbuster trade before I traded anybody else. And this trade, I'm not going to go into details. I won't go
No,
You
into
want
go,
to
go.
go
details
If
into
about
you,
it.
details?
remember,
Tell us
if you
now.
remember,
No,
go. If you
I
remember,
won't go
go
into
the
details.
details. I'll tell
But
you the details.
I remember the episode before I sent you that trade, your brother went off. I think it was on Isaac, being like, Isaac's a bitch. You hang out a player out there and say, I want to trade him. I'm going to trade him right now. So I told him, hey, what's up? I'm going to trade. And then Isaac's like, no, it's okay. And so Will was over here calling him out, saying that he doesn't trade with anybody. So I sent this package, this huge package. It would have shaken up the league. It would have been minuscule to what I did before, or it would have been massive, more massive than what I did the trades with Isaac and everybody else. But I think this was probably like a 6 or 7 player trade package that went through with a couple picks as well too. And Fonz, took a while to get back to me. I would be like, "Hey, we're gonna do this or not? If not, I got to move on to move some other options." And he's like,
Fonz was
I
consulting.
can't, I can't." He did the famous, "I can't." So,
It was a callback.
so he was like, "Well, I need more time. I need to think it through." And I'm pretty sure he was probably talking to Will about it, and maybe somebody else. But then he ended
His
up just
first
not doing it.
mistake.
So, you know, thank God for unanswered prayers, unanswered trades, because I think the next week or the next 2 weeks, if not everybody within that trade ended up going on injury reserve or getting hurt in some
Ooh.
fashion, and so that would have really fucked up my run, and not even, I think it would have made me a little bit more of the laughing stock had that
So
actually gone
I
through.
okay, so I'm gonna give my rebuttal to that, all right? Because this is what you offered me, all right? Your
Oh,
big
he's at it.
package
He's got
was
receipts.
David Montgomery, Chris Olave, Kyron Williams, Michael Wilson, and
God damn.
That's a lot.
you wanted all those players, yeah.
Yeah.
People that I was building, the people that I was investing in, that I'm building up, all right? You want to take all that away for just your 2024 first round, second rounder, your 2025 first round and second rounder, and you're going to give me James Conner, Justice Hill, and Geno Smith. Justice Hill, Geno Smith, James Conner on his way up. Taco Palenque, I meant to bring that up earlier. It's a Taco Palenque Cup.
It is. It
You
is.
thought we would notice.
But we noticed.
I thought you were
But
calling
we,
James Conner Taco Palenque.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
like,
even.
yeah, sorry,
Oh,
sorry.
are we
It
doing
was just
our,
because
our
I
ad?
meant to.
Are we doing our
No.
publicity
Addy.
ads right now? Because I don't have 1877, but I do have some, Devil's River. If you ever
And
try some,
That's
so
amazing.
damn.
That's
I need to
amazing.
try that. I need to
yeah,
try
so
that.
just have my
Anyways, yeah. So yeah,
victory drink.
you, I get that why you're comparing me and Isaac. About like being kind of fluky about David Montgomery, but you weren't just asking for David Montgomery. You were asking for a lot of the players that I was building up on. So
So
to be
I,
fair, I see the comparison of what you're trying to do with me and Isaac, but it wasn't really like that.
no, it wasn't fun. So I was just giving you shit because it was right at the moment. It just sounded funny, but no, yeah, I threw out the pack. I was like, hey, if this is not good, hit me back with what do you think? Let me know. Maybe we can work something out. And I think Montgomery was hurt at the time too, because I think you actually offered me like AJ Dillon, and I already had Aaron Jones, and I'm not a big I'm not a big believer when it comes to fantasy football having that handcuff back, having the two backs from the same team. I think that just you kind of eats your opportunity to have additional points. Um, but again, that's my thing. I don't like the stack as well too as much as maybe some others do within the league. But to each their own. That's how it is. But
Yeah, but
who ends up
I
coming
think
out on top? So I just want to throw that out there.
I was going to say that what you're offering was definitely like it was going to change up a lot of things. But I think the one that that I was thinking about is that I'm gonna have to rebuild my team again when I'm already in the process of hoping that these players that I've been invested in will pay out at this
Yeah.
point.
So
So
no, again, I try to see. I know that was at the point where you were winless, I think, and so I was like, okay, this week,
you try to take advantage of
if you're really gonna hit the reset button,
me.
might as well do it with the picks, and then you can trade picks, and that's when you're quite like, well, you know how difficult it is to trade with everybody in the league. I was like, fuck, Isaac's my true MVP of my fantasy football league because
Isaac's a slut.
he because he ends up trading with me for Hertz and the Eckler deal.
Eckler.
I'll tell you this: the Eckler deal, I didn't think he was going to go for it because at that point I already had traded with him my 2 first-round picks. I think I traded with Scott to pick up Christian Kirk, and so he threw Eckler out. I was like, let me see what it does. So I threw out my last first-round pick that I had, and I went to bed. I turned off my phone. I went to bed. Didn't think anything else. And then next morning, I see a message from Isaac being like, "Good luck, man." And the deal went through. So I was like, Isaac, this one's for you, bud. There you go.
Yeah, I was combing through your roster trying to figure out where each of these pieces came from because Jalen Hurts, that was Isaac, obviously. McCaffrey, he's been passed around a little bit. He was Miller originally, then he went to Isaac, and now he's on your team. Eckler, I think he was like a free agent at one point because he was an undrafted player, wasn't he?
I
From
Someone drafted
drafted
him
him.
for free.
D's. I was the D's had him.
I only drafted him that year because for whatever reason, maybe I was still learning the dynasty thing, but Castro jumped in front of me and drafted James Conner when I had Le'Veon Bell, and I was so upset. And I was like, okay, well, I have Melvin Gordon. I'm going to take his backup just to hopefully get thinking ahead. And that's the only reason I did it because I was so mad at Castro, even though I was just helping myself.
You're
but
welcome.
that was the only reason I drafted Eckler. And I
And
remember
then
that.
they both end up on Joe's team. Joe, man, you're like a rich exec who comes to a small town during a drought, and you're like, hey, sure be nice to have some money right now, wouldn't it? Why don't you just give me your picks and give me your whole future. Come in at 0-8 bonds, and that 0-8 was a fluke, and you proved that. I think you won 5 out of your last 6, and managed to jump Scott. Bonds, I don't think I would have done that deal either. And your team got hot at the right time at the end of the year, and I'm on the record saying I think they're a playoff team next year. So
there go your chances, Fonz.
See, and then that now brings me to Mario, so I can text you, Mario. Shit. All right,
Oh, you thought we were done?
Yeah, we're just getting started. Buckle up,
Are we
baby.
even gonna talk football?
So Mario, it just seemed like every chance you got, you just wanted to put that black magic on me, man. I don't know. Maybe it was because of the pick'ems, and I kind of told you about that. I ended up finishing second in pick'ems. Mario beat me by 1 game in the pick'ems. Otherwise, I would have had the trifecta. But it just seemed like every chance
Triple crown.
Mario had, he was like, "I'm gonna go against Joe. I'm gonna go pick whoever's he's playing, and what have you." And then there was a one where Castro and I played, and that was the game where it came down to the Cincinnati. I think he had Chase, and I had Christian Kirk, and I had the Jaguars defense, and that was like week 2 of the Brown being in as quarterback from when Browning came in from when Joe Burrow went down. And first fucking play of the game, Christian Kirk ends up pulling his groin muscle or his ab muscle or whatever the fuck. He had one catch for like 30 yards or 20 yards. Yeah. And then he was done. And then Jake Browning just went off on the Jaguars defense. And then I still contend that's the turning point in the Jaguars season, unless they can win this coming week and get into the playoffs. That once they lost Christian Kirk, then that's everything just went downhill from there, and their playoffs hopes went out the window. But I was like, God damn Mario, because you're like, oh, Joe's gonna win it. He's gonna knock out Castro. Is gonna claim the first round or the number 1 seed, and everything's gonna, whatever the case is. And yeah, so fucking Mario, you have to put it on
it
that
didn't
Isaac
take you
magic.
long. It didn't take you long. I don't claim the same kind of wizardry or witchcraft that Miller and Isaac seem to have. I know I have terrible luck, and so I'm trying to figure out how to craft that into what I want. So one thing I didn't say on the podcast, I almost said it and then I held off, and I was like, Bob, I'm just going to tell you off the record, just in case it comes true. I don't want to say it out loud, but it was when you were making a heated run. I'm like, I think I'm on track to play Joe, which eventually I would have been if I had beaten Jose in round 1. And I was like, I got to slow him down somehow. And I noticed I had Fournette once upon a time. So I cut him literally a day later. I had him for like 4 weeks. A day later, he gets signed into a team. I was like, this fucking thing. So I kind of looking at my bench, and I see Josh Kelly. I'm like, I bet if I drop Josh Kelly, something will happen to Austin Eckler. And so I dropped him specifically. And literally the next day, a report came out from the coach saying, head coach of the Chargers reconsidering how to use backfield. And I said that screenshot to watch. And so they're like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? It ended up not really mattering, but
Yeah, no, but I think you even offered me Kelly at one point in the season just as a backup, and I was like, no, I already made all my deals. There's no way I can part ways with any more picks. I think I'm content.
Austin Eckler becomes a free agent this season.
Yeah, he does. He does. With that in mind, I think Josh Kelly I don't know if he's still a free agent right now. I did offer him to you for like a third, or
Yeah.
I think it was a third I asked for. And I was like, man, this guy's just giving picks away. Let me get in line. I get there, and you're like, sorry, we're closed.
No, you had your
One
chance
picks
with,
here.
with Johnson. You had your chance with Johnson and tight end, and then not even
Hey,
24 hours. I'm like,
who?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were talking about these trades, I was going to say, did you give him 24 hours before you cancel them? Hey, by the way, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention. Juwan Johnson became the Travis Kelce of the playoffs, and I'm like, God damn it! If I might have considered that, especially after losing Andrews. But I picked up Juwan Johnson for 1 week because I needed him. He literally gave me 0, so I didn't even seriously consider him after that. And of course, he beat. I would have won round 1. We know what would have happened round 2. And then I didn't even bother to. I didn't even bother to
La
play
La
pretend. I didn't want to know.
Land.
Tell
I
him,
want him to
tell him,
know.
Franz.
Coulda,
La
coulda,
La
woulda, shoulda. Coulda,
Land.
woulda, shoulda. It's all good. It's all good.
This is more a
Dangerous
Juwan
game.
Johnson situation. Juwan Johnson actually worked out. I bet William would have liked to have him like double tight ended it.
Whoa, we're in La La Land.
Anyway, well, you've gotten most of us. Do you have something for Jose? Do you have any Jose shade?
No, actually,
Ah,
I leave Deeds out of this because actually I gave Deeds shit the Mr. Atwill saga, and I
Yes.
ended up biting me in the ass because he was my first loss. I ended up playing him, and he was my first loss, and he kind of won a little, I think, handedly. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to talk any shit anymore. Fantasy football gods, I've learned my lesson. I sent him my prayer text just to him. I didn't expect him to be reading it on the podcast, but I'll wear
I was
that
mad,
A.
bro.
I know. I felt it. I felt a little the heat, but yeah. So I'll take that. So Jose, I gave you a little shit earlier, but yeah, no. Outside of that, you're pretty good. You're a believer. You're a believer in Team Joe-gernauts. So it's all good.
speaking
Well,
of which, are
congratulations
you
again.
any intention of changing the team name at any point?
Yes. Yes. So at this point, I was waiting to win my first championship, and then I'm going to have a team
Fucktown
name.
City.
Fucktown
Fucktown
Spiders.
City's fine.
Fucktown Spiders.
So
Episode
I
name.
I kind of left it because last year you kept on the podcast giving shit to me and I think Justin because we're the only ones
Yeah,
that didn't have
Team
any.
from it.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Just to fuck with them, I'm gonna keep it. And then I started getting hot, made my playoff run, finished third place. So I was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna do again. I'm a little superstitious if you haven't learned already. So I'm gonna keep it rolling, and yeah, and it'll be working out for me. So now I think my team has earned the right to be called a name. I think I have a couple options in mind, but you'll see it when I update it on the app. So.
Are you a pun guy? Do you like using the names of any of your players to throw in, or do you just anything at random?
So I kind of try to play a little off of their names and who I have, but the one I'm kind of considering, I've been using in another fantasy football league that I picked up just for fun, and it's more of a pun off of my name, so I think I might roll with that one. So
Hojo.
Joe,
Oh,
you want me to reveal it? You want me to reveal it right now before I do it
Yeah,
on the
No,
app?
I feel like Mario has one ready for you. Do you have one ready, Mario? I feel like you
Well,
got one.
I was just scrolling down. It's like an old school Naked Gun joke, but I just saw Eckler's name, and I was like, Eckler. I hardly know her. That should be your team name.
I like that. I like that one. That's a good one.
And
But
I
no,
actually never heard that one before. Didn't feel it.
um, so the one I'm kind of been kicking around that I've been using in another league is it's the Joe-gernauts. So and so I heard Mario the other day or the other podcast. He was like, "Oh, this is the Juggernaut Joe's team," and I was like, "See, it just fits so perfectly. It's just the
It
Juggernaut."
would have. It would have for this season.
So I'm the Juggernauts, bitch.
oh, there, Fonz.
I
Yeah,
like
go
it.
with
So
Yeah, I like
Fucktown
that now.
Spiders.
I didn't like that
Yeah.
first. Now I like it.
I like it.
And then if you do that, I want that to be the only message you send in the thread for the entire. Like after you beat somebody, just a simple at Allah. I'm the Joe-gernauts, bitch, and then nothing else.
That's right.
Yeah, because
I could lose the next season.
I would have loved for you to respond with I'm the Joe-gernaut, bitch, when people were, hey, oh, you gave away all your picks, like you don't have a pick until 27. Like instead of saying fuck them picks, I wish you would have just been I'm the Juggernaut.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
No, I was looking for the Rams GM that had that shirt that says "fuck them picks," and that way I can get a T-shirt made and be just like "fuck them picks" because that's what it
Did he
was
really
this
have
year.
that shirt?
So, what's that?
Really have that shirt?
Boss.
I was
Did the
looking for
GM
it.
really have? No,
Yeah,
did the GM really wear that shirt? Oh wow!
yeah, he wore it at their parade.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know
He wore it at
that.
the Super Bowl parade when they had their Super Bowl parade. He had that shirt.
That makes sense.
Or it said "F them picks," or I think it was like "fuck" was blurred out. But yeah, he actually wore it.
I just thought
Can
that
you
was
please get that
organically
shirt?
created by you. Yeah, like
Yeah.
No, that's
Please
the
get
yeah.
that
That's
shirt for the draft for the draft next season.
please.
Yeah, you have literally nothing. There's no point for you to be at the draft party.
Yeah, just to flash the belt. That's fine. Yeah.
Well, no, he's
The fuck, Fonz?
permanently.
No, I don't want to see the Juggernaut there.
Doesn't want to
I
see
don't see the Juggernaut there.
It's even
That's
better.
right.
He should jump on. He should jump on the live stream of the lottery, and he should jump on a FaceTime for the draft. Just sitting here with a hat and a cigar, the championship belt, and fuck them picks. Fuck them picks shirt and his whiskey. Yeah, just
Yeah, but I want him to wear that like bowling ball helmet or whatever the Juggernaut has. Like the helmet, the belt, the shirt, whole thing.
I'm sure I can edit it. I could Photoshop a Juggernaut helmet on him.
Yeah.
The Joe-gernauts is another candidate for the episode name when it's over.
No, because that'll spoil it. If he does
No.
Okay. Spoil what?
the name reveal.
But no,
It's not like they're tuning in for the name reveal.
but that's it. That's really kind of my list that I had. I think it was fun this year, and this is what fantasy football is about. Just wanting to see the trades that you can make that you want to see in real life. So that way, your team, whoever there is, Cowboys, Bucks, Eagles, go off and win the championship. And so this year, like I said, I was in the perfect position to do it, and it was either now or never. So empty at the clip, and I did it. Why not? Put it all in and got it. So Noe and I, the newest members to the team. So this one again is for you, Noe, too. I know Noe messaged me and said congrats. So I was kind of rooting for either one of us to kind of make it through and be the first one to kind of crack with the OGs and see who was gonna take the belt. And lo and behold, it was me. So it's all good.
Tell him, Fonz. Tell him.
Congrats once again. You might have heard a time or two on the podcast of the current members of this episode. 3 of us now have rings. 2 of us do not. One of us still doesn't even have a playoff win under his belt. 6 tries. 7 tries. I'm leaving count.
But who is that? Who doesn't have that playoff win? Is it the same guy that said I wasn't going to make the playoffs, let alone be the championship? Huh?
You had to sell everything.
Uh-huh. Sell my soul if it brings me that championship.
Yeah. The Rams, they're back in the playoffs 2 years later, so it worked out for them so far.
There you go.
They found their little Puka Nakua in the 4th round, just like fucking Isaac. We clowned Isaac so hard for being bad at drafting. Now Isaac had the magical draft this year. Well, we haven't officially said it, but Joe, obviously you did win 127 to Justin's 108. Justin put up more points than I thought. He was just, you talked about Rashad White. I think I cursed him because I was like, look at how many straight games he has in double digits, and 4.6 this game, his first game under 10 points since week 7. And his second worst game of the entire year. That was a big one. Pollard had been kind of in the toilet for a while. Stephon Diggs, I don't know what's going on with that guy. 3.1. He's just falling off the face of the earth. He also got bad luck with injuries. Raheem Mostert, who led the NFL in touchdowns, went down. Josh Jacobs, who was having a solid year, went down. And just too banged up at the wrong time. He ended up losing by 19, which as I looked, the disparity. Your defense even 17 out of Buffalo for crushing New England to his one. It just breaks didn't go his way. Lamar had an MVP caliber game, but just not enough. Not enough. But Justin, he's young in a lot of areas. He's had solid drafts in recent years, so he'll be around. And you guys will be in the same tier next year. Tier 1, it'll be the Final Four. Yourself, Jose, William now, and Justin. And I don't know if you picked up on it just yet, but a championship rematch always opens the season, so you'll be seeing Justin in Week 1 next year.
Can't wait.
Wait.
Also too, I heard the last episode, Mar, you were talking so much shit to Will. You're like, man, your whole team isn't even going to combine to beat Joe. Like, you're wasting your time being there. He actually did end up getting more points.
132 for William. Again, I don't know how much time we want to spend on Fantasy Island. Everybody's like, oh, if I would have beat Justin.
Dude, he would not stop. He would not stop. There's a Lalo Land over here, man.
Oh no!
God.
I wish he was on here.
That's why he's not here, probably.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yes, you do.
I had to stop him. I couldn't let him win 3 before
It was
Deeds.
Justin who stopped
He
him.
has to, because he already has that 2-time. I'm the 2-time, back to back 2-time. I'm like, oh my god, get out of here. So
Yeah,
I couldn't let him be like,
Nobody.
oh, I'm the 3-time.
I would have loved it,
Come lick
but
my balls or
nobody
whatever the
else.
hell he would come through.
Yeah, nobody
I
else
actually would
wanted
have
that.
found it hilarious because the guy who couldn't get 6 wins forever finally gets back in, and then against all odds, the worst offense in the league runs it. If he had beaten Justin and then finished it off, I would have been in it just for the sheer silliness of it. Like Will gets in, no one can beat him. He just fucking always wins but wasn't to be. Wasn't to be at this time, William. Well, on that note, William did have that third place game, and since he did score 132, kind of a given that he did outscore you in your third round match was a 131 to your 111.5. Third place is consolation in general. I don't know if you were watching super closely, if you cared a bunch, or what your feelings or thoughts were on this one.
No, I didn't watch any football. I think once I got eliminated, I was like, this is it. I did want to win this matchup, but I wasn't glued to the TV like I had been in the prior weeks, like leading up, like all season leading up to the playoffs. I did want to win because I was telling Will, I actually misstated. I told Will that I placed top 3 for the last 6 years straight, but there was 1 year I placed 4th place. So in 5 of the last 6 years, I have placed top 3, which means I haven't had to pay. Because I always roll over my funds and I haven't had to pay a league buy-in. So that was the only thing I was pissed about. I was like, God, I really wanted to win third so I don't have to pay next year. So, but I guess streaks are meant to be broken. I can start fresh next season. Just didn't pay too close attention to this. Just, happy Will won, I guess. Now he can get a break next year for paying. On paying.
Well, with that, William now has pick 10 in the first round, giving you pick 9, 1 slot in front of him, not only in the first round, but in every round, assuming you guys both have your pick, secondly. So at least there's that to look forward to in the offseason. He won't be snaking any players right from underneath you. William did tell me that you told him that, and that was the same day I messaged Joe, and I messaged Justin, and I messaged Will. I was like, all right, how much do you want to keep? How much do you want to roll over? So for them, obviously, it's just a simple rollover. And he told me later on that night what you had told him about not having to pay buy-ins. I was like, did you screenshot my message to you and then send it over to him? Like me saying, hey, what do you want to do with your 150? Roll it over. I was like, you should have screenshotted it, send it to Jose, be like, hey, Jose, you've done this 6 years in a row. Like, what do you usually do?
What do you normally do?
I would have taken that very personally. And, I'm glad you did.
Oh man, that would have been good.
And then you guys would have had all off-season beef just to play in week 1 of next year. Perfect. Oh, Maybe next year, whoever gets third place.
Nice one,
Can
William.
pull that move. Well, that'll bring us to our last game of the week. This almost isn't even worth going over. I didn't see how bad the score was until now. Miller went into full-on tank mode in the middle of the season, and it worked. I just realized Will Levis gave him negative 1.36.
Wow.
Didn't even break 44 points. He lost 43.9 to Noe's 93. Noe had a pretty decent game here. Yeah, I don't even think it's worth going in. Any of this stuff. Just solid little finale for Noe. He avoids the shit bowl. But curiously, we were wondering why Miller wasn't starting the kicker defense in round 2. Like, doesn't he know the penalties and know what happens? Then I didn't realize that his first round pick belongs to Noe. So him going to the toilet bowl just means that Noe suffers the consequences of having that penalty ball in there. For round 1 anyway. Let's say, Miller's second round pick is worse than it would have been. Like, now Miller has to be one pick later. Not drastic. It's not a death penalty by getting the penalty ball, just a small little deterrent to keep people interested and engaged, along with the shame that comes, I think. Castro, you gonna pay that bill to send that shit trophy over?
No.
You just fucking ask for everyone's address for everything else.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, never mind. Don't
bring up old shit.
It's a new year.
Ooh,
New me. I will not carry over any prior aggressions that I have had last year.
No. Bring that shit up.
We covered. Jose wasn't on the last one. I think Castro was.
No, I wasn't. I haven't been on.
No, neither one of y'all.
Like 2.
We covered, I think, as well as we could, the experience on
Horrible.
what happened with the
Of
whole
course.
address mix-up. Horrible. Sounds like you heard accurately what happened.
No, it was stupid. And Fonz too. Next time I'm not including you in whatever team items I get.
Yeah, I mean the side thing. I'm about to become
I made you
disrespect.
part of this team. That's just the logo of the team. It's just because you're not on it, but I meant
Then wait, just wait,
who's on
wait.
the team. Here you go. Wait for what? Christmas was coming.
Give something else.
I'm sure it would have hurt it either way. I would have been like, got them helmets. Like, oh, cool, I didn't get a helmet. You crying little bitch. I know you would have.
You got him a full-size helmet. I'm to wear on the podcast.
I was thinking about getting
fun.
myself a full-size one because the option was there and they're just pricey.
How much does a full-size helmet go for?
I don't know. It was like 300 something.
Holy fuck! Damn, I thought you were gonna say $80.
No, I don't. It's because I don't think they're actual like the full size ones are real helmets, so it's not like a replica. They don't do full size. Like, you know how there's replica full size ones that have like they're hollowed out inside. This place didn't do that, so it's an actual.
They put the padding in like you're gonna go out and lace it up.
Like you wear, yeah. Like fonts. Oh boy.
All right. Well, there's a few housekeeping notes to get to, but before we start putting a button on those in the season, Joe, one of the other traditional things we like to do for anyone's first time on, I understand there's not, you don't really have the platform on here, and you're not necessarily jumping online with us, so it happens a lot. We jump online to the guys who talk to each other every day, every other day. We're kind of in constant and flux, and obviously we jump on the podcast, so there's a lot of opportunity for conversation. This is sort of our effort to give you the floor and just kind of give your opinion, especially as somebody relatively new, on the state of the league, how you feel about the rules as they are, the keepers, the taxi, if you have any changes you'd like to implement. And you've already gotten everything off your chest as far as the podcast receives. So as far as the state of the league, how you're liking it, anything you'd like to see change or different or introduce while you have the chance here.
Yeah, I think for the most part, everything's pretty solid. I know the keeper or the taxi squad was a little new wrinkle to some of the fantasy football that I'm used to, but no, I think everything is kind of set up pretty well. I wouldn't have any drastic changes that I can think of. Um, that I would like to see implemented or changed. I think we're at a good spot. I like the number of teams. Maybe if anything, limit the bench roster. Now that I think about it, like when we actually are in season, because it gets pretty scarce. When you have an injury or you have something come up with a player, it's pretty scarce, and you're picking bottom of the barrel, literally at hoping that somebody will go off or at least give you a couple points, get a couple catches here and there. But um, maybe a little bit more discussion, see how the other league feel or the other members of the league feel as far as limiting the bench side of things. But again, I don't think it's a huge change that's necessary. I just think it'll provide a little bit more of a parity between the teams. But otherwise, I think everything is pretty solid. It's pretty good, and yeah, I mean, it's just been fun.
Do you think we need
Motion
to?
rejected. No, sir.
We just discussed it and rejected.
Only champions can actually talk right now. All right, there, Castro,
Oh God, here we
and
go.
Fonz, since Fonz,
Shut your mouth, Fonz. Shut your mouth.
Fonz too. Fonz because he put it together that awesome preview video. I know he reached out to Justin and myself. That was pretty awesome. I know I didn't message or say anything to Fonz when he pushed it out, but that kind of goes back to my whole superstition of not looking at the app or going into the app until after Sunday. So I actually didn't see it until like Sunday, Monday. But that was pretty tight. I really liked it. It was. Hearing Justin talk about his team, hearing about myself, I already knew what I had said, and then adding the video clips to it. So it got me pumped. I was fucking ready to go out and play, and I was like, man, I'm ready for that belt. I'm ready for it to come home. So that was pretty cool. So credit to you, Fonz, on that. That's pretty awesome.
I'm glad you liked it, man. I worked with like for a good 3-4 days straight, like on that thing.
Yeah, and I tell you, you even messaged me. You're like, "Oh, no pressure," but Justin already sent me his clip, and I was like, "Fuck, I got to put together a clip now and see what I can do." And
It
I'll
was
tell you, I
yeah.
went through a couple of takes. I went through because I was like, "No, I sound stupid." I just started rambling about something else, so I was like, "No, I gotta." Even wrote down some notes. I was like, "No, I gotta touch this. I gotta touch that," and even still. I was like, "Fuck it! It's already late. I gotta send it out to Fonz that way he can have it." And I know he said he wanted to edit and everything else. So I told my wife, I was like, I need quiet, I need concentration. And
Get out of the house.
she's like, you're just fucking stupid. She's like, whatever. So, but but when
Oh
Jose and
no.
I start talking fantasy football, or we start going off, she starts getting those glazed look, and I know she looks at Myra and be like, they're fucking, it's not real, right? And so her and Myra have a good
Hey,
time
go
at
go show her your
Jose
go
and my
show her your bank
expense.
account this week. Ask her how real it
Hey,
is.
we're not.
I guess this money don't exist.
That's my account. That's
I'm
my
not
money.
showing her shit.
I'm not showing her shit. She had no investment in this. No. So,
You're right, baby. That's not real. It's not real.
it's not real.
Yeah.
No.
Careful, Joe. Myra listens to this
Yeah.
sometimes.
I was
Oh,
gonna say, ooh, be careful,
there was
Joe.
some. It was just $50 that I won. $50 I got there. It's all good. I, I take her out to a nice
Gas
Chick-fil-A
money.
dinner. It's all good. It's all good.
The video because I thought of it earlier and I was like, no, we'll get to that when we talk about the preview, and then we just sort of spilled into it. But yeah, Fonz and I were just kind of spitballing the concept of it. But man, much like Fonz probably doesn't want to pat himself on the back about it, but much like he's done with most of this stuff since he's elevated from side chick to full time chick on this podcast, jumping in, adding the video components, like he's really taken a lot of the stuff and run with that. Like even as simple as just responding in the text thread. Like that's how low the bar is. So like when you do it, I'm like, oh sweet, like that would be enough. But what you've done to elevate this, because like frankly, it's a grind. Ask your fucking brother. He makes ice skating plans instead of doing episodes last minute. But schedules get busy. Coming up with content gets busy. On top of the rest of life, it gets tough. So we needed some rejuvenation and some juice to not only keep the league invested, but to add a little spice, because this was certainly the most like just set it and forget it, rinse and repeat. And like I know Jose, we used to come with like stats before every game, and now like I'll sort of think of it and be like, I don't got time for that shit. So I used to make a rundown. Like we've all sort of started to dip. So you injecting some new energy, like with what you did with that preview video, And I know how hard he was working on it because he wasn't online for 4 days straight. He would send me concepts and like takes, and then I went to school for this stuff. I'm a little rusty, but once I start getting into it, the juices start flowing again, and so we're going back and forth and giving us some ideas. But he did a lot of it. I told him what I liked, what I didn't, but that was his baby, his passion project. And by the time it was done, it was like, dude, this is really cool. I know if I was playing in this game, I'd be hyped. So I felt for him when he puts it up and it's silent for like an hour. I'm like, he's fucking like, somebody say something.
Dude, nobody said nothing. I was like, damn.
So now you have my reason why I didn't say anything, because again, I'm super. I didn't want to go into it. The game's already started, what have you. So, but once I did go into it and look at it, I said I was just so fucking pumped by it. So I look forward to future editions, and hopefully I'm in those future editions as well too.
He was so pumped, he waited 2 weeks after. Damn, I can't wait to tell Fonz in 2 weeks.
I should have told Justin if there was more time to raise his stakes. He should have gone like into the Cowboys studio and done a whole like setup with the lighting and everything, a camera recorded. And I would, just to intimidate you, I would have said, "Here, Fawn, send this to Joe so he sees what I did." And then you're
like, you could have done that, and maybe I wouldn't have admitted it, but I would have probably felt a little intimidated. But if I came out the victor, I've been like, "Fuck, you don't know shit." There,
I'm the Joe-gernauts, bitch.
I'm the Joe-gernauts, bitch. There you go. See how it catches on? You know it. Castro, you hear me? You hear me? Huh?
No, I can't.
I'm on top. That's why, because I'm on top. That's why you can't hear me.
Oh goodness.
Well, yeah, the bench thing we don't have to jump into right now, but something to consider. What's funny is the year before you jumped in, we had a mishap where we went from 6 rounds to 5 on our draft things, and because of that, like something happened where we accidentally, I forget how it happened, but basically we accidentally had an extra draft bench spot for an entire year. So instead of 18 plus 4 taxes, we had 19. And went through the whole year. What was that?
I think
the second flex. That's
spot.
what it was.
Second flex, yeah.
We added the second flex, but so that accounted for a starter spot, but we didn't adjust the bench. So in essence, an extra spot was created and just nobody noticed. I think it was like week 9 or 10 when I caught onto it, and we admitted it on the podcast at one point. And I told Jose, I was like, "Hey, does this seem right? Did we fuck up here?" And he's like, "Oh shit, yeah, I think we did." So we held a vote in the off season. I was like, "Hey, no one seemed to notice or say anything about it. So do we want to keep it?" And everyone was like, "No." So we did away with that just to get back down to 18. I'd be curious to see how people feel now because it certainly is scarce. Justin didn't spend $1 all year. Like most of the money seems to get spent on kickers and defenses, and then there's the one like ask Warwick. Every time he bids like $100 on somebody. He's like, "This is my one purchase for the year," and he goes all in. So it is scarce out there. I said we won't get into it, but I'll get into it a little bit. Personally, I kind of like to mirror the NFL as much as possible. And I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. Like you look at what's out there. There's like Leonard Fournette and Joe Flacco sitting on their couch. Nobody that's going to save your season overnight. But like they kind of should be lottery tickets, like limited value and stuff like that. And so I feel that's like personally, I feel like that's because there's a little bit of value to be extracted. Like little Curtis Samuels of the world, and as guys get injured, these handcuffs get picked up, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Like there's these little like lottery ticket guys, but nobody that's like a guarantee. So I kind of personally like where the balance is now, but I'd be open to hearing what everybody else thinks and feels about it.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a big change or a big deal. Like I said, I like the way the league is right now. So it's just a thought to kind of kick around. Things can always be improved on, no matter how well they're running. So again, I'm not a full gone into yes, we need to limit the roster spots or make it a little bit more players available. But again, just wanted to throw it out there and see what everybody else thought. Outside of my other thought was to bring in a second quarterback to go super flex, because that's all of y'all fucking talking about that.
Stop.
I'm just kidding.
That could
But
be
like I
So
said,
alright.
I'll be interested. I'll be interested to hear what everybody else kind of has to say. And again, I'm not married to it. I'm not saying that we have to do it or I'm out. And then that's the other thing. The fuck y'all thinking that I'm gonna just bailed out on on this
This
season.
guy.
And they're like,
Go to Astro.
I want an investment. I want
Okay.
upfront
Nah,
money for the next
who
2 years.
Said that?
So that's fucked up. That's fucked up right there. I'm not gonna do that. Come on, I have a little bit
Jimmy.
more respect and for
It was a,
everybody, so I'm not gonna do that shit.
it was
But
more a
yeah.
joke, but it was set up so perfectly because you sold everything. And I hear it was funny to me because it actually reminded me of a buddy of mine from work. He also goes into multiple leagues, and he has been chasing down this one dude who does this all the time. Like he'll start up a league, and he'll join his league to try to like beat him and counteract him. Because what this guy does, he'll jump in, start dynasty leagues, and he'll sell all his picks to get all the best players, win, and then he disbands the league. And so my buddy's been doing that, and he cuts him off because he's doing the same thing. He like joins at a random account, and he'll like join him, and he'll like start trading.
He fucking follows him. He follows him just to stop.
Because he has like a Twitter account. The dude, if you know him, and just I don't know how he gets players to play. And apparently, yeah, he follows me, he joins him, and he's like, yeah, F that guy. Yeah, I just mess up. I trade all my picks too and get the best players too.
I love the dedication to just troll this guy and not let him.
He got burned for him once. So he's like, man. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But like, no, we're not gonna go chase you, just so you know.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't like to do that. I have a little bit more self-respect than just leave everybody in the lurch like that. That's not cool. But no,
You're in it good. Good.
What do we think about implementing the punishment for last place?
Man, I put up a screenshot at some point last year because I was seeing some really cool punishments for last place. And Fonz, I think you were near the bottom. You're like, well, it's easy for you fucking guys at the top.
Yeah.
You got shot. I saw one where it's like literally somebody would like point at a map of the U.S. and they had to go spend a weekend there, like fucking middle of nowhere, Idaho. They had to just go and make the best out of their trip there. I was like, shit, that's next level
dude,
punishment.
I brought up the option or the kind of the notion of a punishment, and Fonz went a little dark on me. We had like a whole text message chain. I think it was everybody here in San Antonio because we were talking about the draft. And I just so happened to see on the side of the road this guy. He's had a sign, had waters, and I'm thinking, oh, this fucker is some kind of fundraiser or some kids going to this national championship, whatever. And no, he had a sign that says free waters, no money. I just fucking suck at fantasy football. And so he was giving out waters, and so I just yelled at the guys like, I've been there before. So, but yeah, I put it out there as like, hey, we should kind of come up with a thing because I've seen you have to spend 24 hours in like a Waffle House, but you get to knock off an hour for every waffle you eat and shit like that. And Fawn just took it into a very dark spot and craziness. And I was like, fuck, what kind of league did I join? He was like, yeah, Joe, so don't bring it up again. And I was like,
I was gonna say, can we please not repeat that on the airwaves?
yes, no, it was. I will save whatever fans are subscribing to the podcast to not hear what Fonz had to kind of bring up, but
it was pretty dark, bro.
It was pretty dark.
Fonz, you just got this gig, dude. Come on. Did anyone background check him?
You know what? That's bullshit. You cancel me for my past transgressions.
That's
Transgression was just last year.
It's still in the past. It's still in the past.
Canceling like dead Confederate soldiers. They can certainly cancel you.
But you actually made it up, and Deed, you made it up with the I can't, and Deed just did the fucking hilarious repeat of it. It was I can't. So yeah, so you made it up for there, but yeah, no, I'll be kind of interested to see what everybody thinks about the punishment because I brought that up before.
Well, I mean, not. I mean, we don't have to figure out what the punishment is, but just like we implement it starting this upcoming season because we brought it up so many times that I feel like everyone's on board, but no one wants to start it because they're gonna be in last place. So at some point, somebody's gonna have to take the hit for this. Like,
The curse of the toilet bowl trophy, like the curse alone, the bad luck that thing comes with, like that terrifies me to my bone, to my core. Like that's why I've never been like, oh yeah, we should have another one. But it's funny because Miller is in another redraft league, and their punishment, it's because it's called the beer mile league. So whoever comes in last place has to run a mile with everyone in the league in attendance, and at every lap, so every quarter mile, they have to chug a beer. And they have to do that 4 times in a mile because there's 4 laps in a mile. So that's what their punishment is, and it's called the Beer Mile League. And I was like, oh, that sounds clever, but I would hate to do that.
Oh man, I'm starting to think of this. So like, the season ends, right, and then 2 weeks later the playoffs begin. So you could have like a playoff party at like a bar, and you could have it predetermined how many blocks he has to run around before he comes back. But to make sure he's not walking, he has a time limit. If you don't do a lap in under 3.5 minutes, whatever, you have to take the beer and a shot.
damn, dude! God, damn!
Don't get last place then,
Shit.
Fonz.
Oh God!
We could do that. Shit, we could implement it in Vegas this year. Well, no, Miller's not there.
We just gotta make sure these aren't Mario miles, because man, you clear miles.
Yeah. That's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I said
The
lap.
four-
The quarter mile lap.
No, what was that? The 4x4 that you did? I think it was earlier this year.
That was a couple months ago. Yeah.
That's fucking insane, bro. That's insane.
4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours, and
Yeah.
by the 4th run, I think I had stress fractures in my feet and my legs. I couldn't separate them more than like 8 inches apart. They just wouldn't go. So yeah, I was out running in public, I literally was running like an 85-year-old, just like trotting along. It was pretty rough on the body. So maybe those miles, I'll give you those times, and we can implement that. Well, I think we've learned about everything we need to about Joe. I do want to button up. This won't be official because I don't know how many people are still with us. We're an hour and 40 minutes in nearly. But there were some questions about the off season. Ad drops, when the trades are going to open back up. Actually, I think trades technically should be open like now, right? I mean, I guess they'll happen as soon as we transition over to the next year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think those will both happen when we make the transition. And now that the year is done, there's really no reason to hold off. Just to set an arbitrary date, I think we agreed before the show we'll do that this coming Monday, which is January 8th at just 12 o'clock Central Time, so 1 o'clock for you, Castro. At that point, ad drops will be completely open. Trades will be open, and they will remain so until March 1st. I think that is the official first day of free agency. So no more fab budget, no more money, just race to your computer. But luckily, there's not a whole lot of movement. The best you could hope for is maybe finding a diamond in the rough if somebody performs well in the playoffs and starts to look good. But everyone will have the ability to do that. Come March 1st, trades will remain open. Ad drops will lock because that's when the hot stove starts cooking. And you can, people already have verbal commits to go to different teams. There's a lot of big name free agents. I think Eckler's contract is up. Derrick Henry's contract is up. Fonz, even running a couple of the others we talked about. Mike Evans, I think you said contract is up.
Oh yeah, I did say Mike Evans is up.
I think Kirk Cousins' contract is up. Tony Pollard.
T. Higgins.
Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
T. Higgins.
A lot of potential movement. A lot of.
I'm not being helpful here. I'm just agreeing with you guys.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
The point is, a lot of big names and a lot of stocks will rise and fall with that news. So we've locked the ad drops March 1st. Those will remain shut down. So whatever is on your team on that date will remain on your team until we do the cuts. I encourage everyone to fill up every spot. You cannot adjust the taxi until right before the draft. I'm sorry. Yeah, right before the draft, right? Yeah.
Well, for your keepers, the ones that have to come out, that's a deadline the drop deadline, right?
That's right. When we do the keeper deadline is when taxes need to be adjusted, which will be right before the NFL season and right before our dynasty draft, which is usually end of August, early September. But encourage everyone, fill up your IR even. Just put bodies on your roster because you never know how these things are going to shake out and fill out. So it always crushes me a little bit when I see open spots. I'm like, cat. Even if they don't become anything, it's better to have a chance. Have a chance to somebody. But max it out, fill it up. We can't predict what'll happen in the off season, but we'll make this a post also because I won't count on everyone listening to this in the next 2 days. So we'll put it up, advance the league, and I think that's it. I think we are wrapping up, buttoning up. Year number 9 next year, year 10 of the Flash League.
Yeah, great job, Will, being here.
Don't give him shit.
Sorry.
All right.
It's it. This is it. It's done.
Yeah.
Over.
We're saying goodbye. And he was scared.
No, he wasn't.
I had a
Spend time with his
feeling
son.
I had a feeling he was going to bail.
He's trying to spend time with his son.
I talked to him at several points today, and every time he was like, "Man, I'm just really tired today. I'm just really tired today." And I was like, "Take a nap. Take a nap. I'll talk to you later." And then sure enough,
No, he's not even taking a nap.
yeah, he didn't even take a nap.
He's
He did something else.
No, it's because my nephew since last night had been talking about trying to go roller skating with his friends, but he didn't ask him until this morning. So my brother, I'm pretty sure, told him yes, but he forgot after he got off work. So I had to remind him. I
Big
was going to remind him.
help me! Big
I was going to remind him, like, hey, don't you have skating? You remember talking about being on the podcast? You can go skating tonight, but he did it himself. He remembered. So yeah.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Whatever, Castro. You don't know nothing.
Well, this may not be the last of the season. I was trying to find which number. Is this like 23, 24? I think we've been doing right around 25 every season, which makes me think we might be awful close to episode 100 at this point. I haven't done a count, but roughly around there. I know in the past we've done like real football talk, just this is something to do. And we'll give updates on the lottery date because I think the lottery comes sooner than later. Everyone's stats and percentages are adjusted. We'll put that on live. Joe's already checked out. He's like, gives a fuck about the lottery. I think we do that around Pro Bowl week, if I remember correctly. But we'll finalize dates and let that out. And yeah, once the playoffs are finalized, it might be fun to talk some real football a little bit, where we can do their little Super Bowl predictions and
Super Bowl episode, the sequel.
We need to get hammered for that one. Maybe we do an NFC Championship Super Bowl like immediately after, because there is actually a decent chance that the Cowboys are participating in that NFC Championship game.
We definitely gotta get that.
What was that face for, Joe?
Hey, there is.
They gotta go to the. Tell them, Joe.
No, that might be the Eagles. That might be the Eagles.
Oh,
So,
But the Eagles, you're not Noe, so we can speak logically here. What I mean, actually, to be fair, Noe has admitted when the Eagles look like ass, and even he would come on and say they are just not right now. I mean, they just lost a must-win game to the Cardinals, who don't even care to win, or the GM doesn't care to win. So that completely opened the door to put the Cowboys back at home. The Eagles' defense just does not look right. The confidence and the frustration doesn't look right on the offense. They're just trending the wrong direction at the wrong time. Like, I'm not even sure they beat the Rams right now. Like, they may lose to every 1 through 6. Like, they could maybe beat the Packers, but shit, they just lost to the Cardinals. They almost lost to the Giants. They're in rough shape. Anyway, the Cowboys are much better at home. They're about to host Green Bay, which if Aaron Rodgers was still there, I'd be very nervous about. But even so, they're pushovers. They're looking a little better. But assuming they can win that game, then they're going to host either the Eagles or
the Cowboys. The Cowboys play the Commanders this weekend, don't they?
well, yeah, but it's
I'm
not
talking
playoffs.
about playoffs.
Oh, playoffs.
Welcome
I'm
to
assuming the
the
Cowboys will beat the Commanders. We're assuming the Cowboys will win this Sunday. But yeah, round 1 against the Packers, and then round 2, I actually think there's a decent chance because it's the most Detroit thing ever. Matt Stafford goes into Detroit, breaks all of his former fans' hearts, advances as a 6th seed, and then goes to San Francisco, leaving us to play the winner of Eagles and Bucks.
Bucks.
The Bucks.
Bucks right now.
Probably the Bucks. Yeah.
Probably.
Are they winning in Tampa?
Yeah, they're winning in. So as long they could have wrapped it up
They're
last
playing
week.
Carolina.
Exactly. So they should take care of business, and we should be
Unless
in.
Bryce Young.
No, what is it? Tepper throwing fucking drinks at all the damn fans. That's all right.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. Talk about karma. No, fuck that. That guy doesn't deserve to win anything.
They should win that game. So you guys, interesting. The Joe v. Noe matchup in round 1 of the playoffs with the Eagles and Bucks there. But yeah, Cowboys will either host the Eagles or they'll host Tampa, or they'll host Detroit if the Lions actually win that game. But either way, those are winnable games. They've beaten 2 of those 3 teams this year, so there's a decent chance that we're watching Cowboys NFC Championship game. I'm not making guarantees beyond that, but
I won't hold my breath, Mario.
We've been here before. Yeah.
They're not playing any real teams. What team would they play?
As long as we're not playing the Niners. Yeah.
The Niners are the only ones. And we're not playing them yet. I'm not saying we're going and beating the Niners.
No,
there is a hope. There is a hope that if the Rams play the Niners, that just that division voodoo happens and Sean McVay pulls one out of his ass. But who knows? Anyway, that's Cowboys Corner for the day. Other than that, congrats everyone on a year 9. Congrats, Joe, on your first championship. Welcome to the table.
Welcome
the
to the
ring
circle.
Seat at the table. I like
Circle
it.
champions.
Walk right past Fonz and Castro on your way to sit down.
Pull out my chair, Castro. Pull out my chair. Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring. No,
I can't. You're too happy.
No, it's been good. A good run, good season, fun season. Look forward to next year.
Well,
Me too.
Congrats again. Thanks for making the time to jump on. Hopefully you felt like you got some things off your chest. Honestly, this goes to anybody. If you want to come on, come find us. We do it twice a week. Just say, hey, I got time this week. Let me know when y'all do it. I'll jump on. Anyone who wants to come on is welcome on. Scott and Nelly are the last 2 on our bucket list, but we'll eventually get everybody checked off. Wow.
All right, I can't wait till that day comes. Yeah.
I almost want to save Scott for last now.
Fuck you, Scott.
Fuck you, Scott. Who the fuck, Scott?
Also, thanks for getting the memo, Joe, about the quarter zips. This was not planned, but look at us.
I know. When I was talking to Fonz earlier, getting everything set up, he was like, "Man, you look like a boss, just sitting there, mafia boss." And I was like, "I was expecting you." So all I needed was I had my cigar ready. I already had my bourbon here. So
yeah, I wish you would have had the cigar the entire time.
Just needed my $50 winning pot. Because that's all I won. That's all I won was just the $50. But been right here, Scrooge McDuck. So no, it was all good. It was fun. That's cool. So thanks for having me on. Don't make this the last time. I'm a champion now, so sit at the table, let me on every now and again. So I have some grievances with y'all, but otherwise, yeah, good job, everybody.
Congrats
to you, Joe. Congrats to everyone. Yeah, great season.
Great season.